Hi guys, thanks for tuning in again. Just wanted to do a video for the FMP or Forex Mentor Pro guys, Marc Walton system for trading. It's a system that focuses mainly on the pullbacks of major breaks of areas and focuses on making sure you have multiple reasons to get into a trade and looking at where you can realistically set your stop losses and take profits, which is really crucial thing to learn when you first start trading, because you don't know where a price is going to go, you know how much profit it's going to give you, and you don't know how much of stop loss is going to take from your account. So when you trade and when you go through the education section and you learn through Marc and Pierre's system as well, it becomes quickly apparent that they're really in tune with spotting take profit and stop loss areas. Now, it's something that was sort of drilled into me from when I first learned from Gin at LCMS, that you really need to put your stop losses behind important areas, because if you just want a 20 pip stop loss for a trade just because your risk only allows 20 pips at a certain lot size, then your stop loss will most likely be taken out unless it's behind a significant area. So it's one of those things that you are told early on, but it really only becomes applicable when you start really focusing on why things aren't going away, or where you can improve in certain areas. And stop losses was definitely an area that I needed to improve on, because I was getting into trades that were potentially going the right way, and more often than not I was stopped out before they actually got to their take profit zones, which is very frustrating, as probably many of you can relate to. So say for example, this is the M2 chart setup for Marc's system. Marc Walton's the founder of FMP, or Forex Mentor Pro. Now you can see, again, looks very busy, but he tends to not rely so much on the stochastics. It's generally seasonal, I think he says. So we'll just get rid of that one for the minute. Just indicated overbought and oversold areas. But he uses his trigger MACD, which is great for MACD divergence, which is one of the main things you look out for. Down here in this indicator window is the RS All, which is, if you've watched the Earth and Sky video that I've done for review for Pierre's system, it will show the strength of currencies against other currencies. And there's 22 or 24 different currencies that it mix and matches, and it comes out with this RS All indicator. It's very processor heavy, so I'm just going to get rid of that one as well, as they quite often say in their education section. Don't have it on multiple currency or charts at any one time. So that's a really good indicator. It comes both with M2 and the Earth and Sky system. So what are you left with? Well, it looks still very busy, but these lines here are his weekly and monthly EMAs. Again, really important areas for just confirming where stop losses can go and where take profit, and most likely where it's going to hit or bounce an area. So that's something that's really good. So he's got his weekly, and I think it's the monthly 55 and 200. So yeah, 55. That's the 200, and that's probably the weekly, yeah, and that's the EMA, monthly EMA 2055. Now he's also got a 34 EMA and a 55 EMA and 21, yeah. So, and there's a short one as well, I think. There's a 5 and, what's this one here, an 8? Oh, it's an 8 SMA. Now again, he will say that in his education section he puts them all on, but he does tend to take the smaller ones off and just leave the 34 and the 55, and sometimes even just leaves the 55. But as with all the FMP guys and LCMS traders, they all do their weekly analysis, so you'll get a chance to see their trades in action, the sort of thing that I'm going to be doing. So that's really important when you start off as well, seeing that people are actually physically putting on trades, which is great, and explaining why they do it and what areas they look out for take profits and stop losses and stuff. So I'm just going to put a couple of quick lines in here, for example. Let's do the top here, do one down here somewhere, do another one that's probably half decent area as well. So let's say, for example, if you're looking at the trading M2 system, well, up here there's obviously, apart from your support and resistance zone, this is on the daily time frame, by the way. Marc prefers to trade on a longer time frame, usually on the daily and the weeklies. But he does go down to the smaller time frames as well. Let's say, for example, this is the Euro Aussie currency. So, say for example, you had a support line down here. I'm just going to move the recording out of the way for you. So say for example you had a support and resistance line up here. You can see it struck that line a few times now, this red one here, but also his EMAs are also in that area. Now the daily, the 200 moving averages there as well. So for example, up here he might not consider getting into certain trades depending on whether he wants to counter trade this trend that's been happening. He might look for a double top or a head and shoulders, that type of thing, look for chart patterns. Again, he looks for multiple reasons to get into a trade. He would either prefer for things to, for example, in his education section he explains that he prefers to wait for pullbacks. So, you know, it's going to be frustrating sometimes waiting that long, but when it comes down to things like this area here, I mean, that's a big old area that I've selected, but you know, if your trade was to come down to this area down here, I mean, you're probably 130 pips. But say, for example, you got down here and the EMAs were rolling over, all that sort of stuff. He would look to potentially long from there if the conditions were right, because there are multiple reasons to get in. There's several EMAs, 55 and a 200. There's your own support line there, for example, and that's where price has previously shrugged before. So again, I'm butchering the system, trying to explain it as quickly as I possibly can, just to give you guys a bit of an insight of what I trade and what these guys do. But you know, the real foundation is based upon looking for multiple reasons to get into a trade to increase your probability. And another thing that is important with the Earth and Sky and the M2 system and trading in general, and Jin from LCMS will say exactly the same thing. You should look for your risk to reward ratio to be higher, or to be higher than 1 for 1. Really, you don't want to be risking 40 pips to get 40 pips. You want to be risking 40 pips to get 80 pips minimum, because then if your trade goes wrong, your next trade will make up for that previous trade. So risk to reward ratio is a huge thing that is not always explained clearly when you first start trading. Again, it's one of these things that you absorb as time goes on, and you sort of realise, why didn't I was 20 pips away from hitting my take profit at that instant, and now it's bounced back to nearly break even. What did I miss there? It was a multiple area where it's changed before. There's a couple of VMAs, you know, congestion, previous support resistance and stuff. So that type of thing comes with experience, but these guys help you identify those zones with the Earth and Sky stuff and this M2 system as well. So yeah, another really good system, really clear cut. You can tweak the indicators, you know, with how much you want on or how little you want on. You can, you know, add on your own things that you want to put on to help, and you know, the system itself is just really clear cut and easy to trade with. It does take patience, and it's designed for the long-term trader, which is great, because Marc will always say that he likes to catch a trade and he likes it to be a big trade, and more often than not they end up being 100, 200, 300 pips sometimes, his trades, because he has to wait very patiently for them to happen sometimes. So that's Marc's M2 system from Forex Mentor Pro. Again, if you're interested in going on their course, it's a great price, and it's just something you can do at your own pace and learn. Something that will greatly help you improve as well. So all of the guys I mentioned in all the videos are all you know, I trust every one of them explicitly, and their systems and the stuff they use and the experience they have is second to none. So yeah, if you're interested in the course and stuff, I blabbed on a bit there, but just the link will be in the description below, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.